First of all, I always thought that breast cancer was a white woman's disease. I didn't know that black women got breast cancer, and that was mainly because all the promotions featured white women. So I just thought, oh, black women don't get this. And then, lo and behold, I was diagnosed with stage 3 advanced breast cancer. I thought after that I finished with the IV and the chemo that I was going to go home. I didn't know I had to take additional over-the-counter, not over-the-counter, but prescription drugs. And I went, and it was quite expensive. And I thought to myself, okay, what do poor people do? How do women that look like me, that is less fortunate than I am, how do they make it? How do they find the money to pay for this prescription, take care of their families, cover all their finances? That must be so difficult for them. And then I was at home one morning feeling, terrible after chemotherapy treatment. Couldn't get off the bed. It was terrible. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't want any other woman that looks like me to have to go through this alone. So when I get better, I'm going to do something about this. That started the journey of me and the Olive Branch of Hope.
The Olive Branch of Hope's office is situated on Indigenous land. This is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. The Olive Branch of Hope gratefully acknowledges these Indigenous nations for their guardianship of this land. The Olive Branch of Hope also recognizes stolen people from across the world who have inhabited this land by force. Slavery prior to and including the transatlantic slave trade continuing through modern-day human trafficking have brought Indigenous people from across the globe to care for this land. We acknowledge the truth of our Canadian history and commit ourselves to reconciliation, knowledge, and careful intention. I invite you to take a moment of silence. Feel free to use this moment for prayer, memory of a loved one, or to set an intention for your engagement in this space. Thank you for holding this moment of silence with me.
Hey, everyone, how are you? We are here and we are in the final stretch of what the HERstory initiative. Now, let me tell you, it's been the whole month of March. And so it's now March 29th, I believe. And so that's 29 amazing women that we have gotten to see throughout the month who have shared their story and shared the 4 V's, right? Has shared their voice, has shared their version, their victory, and I want you to type in the chat, what's the last V? If you can type in the chat, what's the last V? I personally will give you a calendar. I'll give you a Drip Queen calendar. So I'm going to throw that in there. If you can type in the chat what the last V is, then you will get a calendar from me, none other than Miss J, your flight strategist, founder of Beautiful Women Society. And what I do is I help women to reclaim their secret identity. As I like to say, help superheroes reclaim their secret identity. And what does that mean? Well, very simple. It's about knowledge, it's about skill and capacity, and it's about leveling up your drip, right? Your drive, your resilience, your innovation, and your progression. By doing so, it just opens the doors to all the exponential opportunities and unlimited sense of self, making sure that you understand how putting yourself first is going to make you a stronger superhero. Better yet, strengthening who you are to be better at what you do. Now, the person I'm bringing on today is none other than an amazing woman who's going to be sharing her views and her lens on the 4 V's. And as we know, we've been looking at supporting the Olive Branch of Hope, and we've been supporting them financially. We've been supporting them physically, mentally, emotionally. Why? Because these women are truly heroes. And every day they get up, they find a way to keep going. And so we celebrate them through the Olive Branch of Hope by helping them to get purchasing branded items from the website, none other than Nadia Headley's website. If you go to heysisterherstory.ca, it's right here on the screen. Make sure that you jump on. We have some products there that if you can purchase, and a percentage of it will go towards the Olive Branch of Hope. And if you don't see anything that you want to purchase, please feel free to just donate, right? Every coin counts, right? What we're trying to do are get specialized medical devices for Black women living with lymphedema after breast cancer treatment. So we definitely know my mom went through breast cancer. Unfortunately, she didn't make it, but let me tell you, if she did, these devices would have helped her life become exponentially better. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to have our guest come on. I'm going to have her introduce herself, because if you didn't see the flyer, you get a surprise. She is an amazing woman. I met her at an event, Nadia Headley's event, 2114. Met her at an event, and let me tell you, what she's doing is definitely touching the lives of many. So let's bring on Miss SoJay, and she'll tell you a little bit about who she is, and then we'll get started. My hair is doing all types of madness today, but it's all good. Hello, hi. How are you?
Hello, Miss J. I'm doing great.
Good. Miss Sophia Jackson's in the building, honey.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yes, life. Sophia, so glad that you're here. I'm so excited to go through this evening with you. I know it's going to be an amazing conversation. I mean, and the ones that I've done before, every woman brings a different element to this show, and I'm super excited to hear yours. So let's jump right into it. First, tell the people the tea, honey. Who is Miss Sophia Jackson, aka Miss SoJay?
Well, first of all, I'm very surprised how fast this month has gone by. Like,
right?
29. I was like, I'm gonna be near the end of the month. Give me some time. But my name is Sophia Jackson. I also go by SoJay, and I am a creative by nature, multidisciplinary, creative, and I operate in mental wellness, mental health, self-esteem, confidence for young people from the age of kindergarten age, all the way up to adults, and sometimes seniors. So
you're a zero to hero.
Yes. Yes. Zero to hero, very much so. And so I use my coloring books as a jump off, right? To spark conversations around mental health, wellness, self-esteem, confidence, self-love, the power of creation, financial literacy. I am also a licensed financial advisor. And I pull in that information and that knowledge to have people open up and have those kind of difficult conversations around money and have my as coaching. I do some business coaching also. Sounds like a lot of this, but what the common elements are is, me and my experience, my background, and being able to use all those tools in my toolkit to tailor things, tailor programs, workshops. I'm also a speaker, so I do all of these things in workshops and speaking events, and even more intimate settings, and bring all those tools together and be able to tailor what is needed for whomever I'm supporting and engaging.
Love it. So let's pull right from there. So you have a lot going on the plate, which I love, a true entrepreneur. So how, in your opinion, is the importance of vision? With everything that you're doing, how do you see the vision line up, or how do you help the ones that you're really connecting to get their vision going?
Yeah, vision, like that's twofold, because there's my vision for how I want to be seen, and then how I am seen, and then also the vision of the individuals and people that I support. And so I want to try to be as succinct as possible, because I know it makes sense in my head, all of the different things that I do, but I want to be able to make sure I'm succinct in communicating that. And hopefully I was with what I just shared. And then also to have that reflected back, which in most cases, like that's successful, and that I continue to be successful, that people get it and they see the vision. And
Yes.
then also, like I was saying, that the third piece is that, no, I think I touched on the last two. So how it's seen, you know, that saying, how you're seen, how you see yourself, how you're seen by others,
It's
and
two
what it
different things
really,
sometimes.
what
Yeah.
it really is, to just
Yeah,
make
it's
sure
like they
it's all
say,
aligned.
there's his story, there's her story, and there's a truth somewhere in
And the
between.
truth, yes.
Right? Somewhere in
So to
between.
make
That's
sure
right. And
that,
you know, it's interesting because, you know, as a business coach, you know, I really focus on helping people. Like what we do is we help people to see a vision, right? And a lot of the times we know it's within. We just have to be able to help them bring it to the forefront, right? To kind of move away all of the murk that happens, right? You know, you're already thinking the negative doubts, the, you know, where am I going to get the resources? How am I going to finance this project? And you just get so wrapped up that you lose the importance of the actual vision, you know. And so from hearing what you're saying, I definitely agree. We have to ensure that we keep that vision at the very forefront of our mind, because that's the only way we're going to actually be able to, you know, take that next step in terms of creating the foundation for that. I love that. Okay, so let's turn it to you now, because, you know, as we know, we are good at what we do, but some people think we're invincible. I like to think that I am, thank you. But have you ever had a time where you felt that your voice was diminished or even silenced?
yes, absolutely. When I was working at the school board, I
Mhm.
felt like my voice was diminished, even though it's kind of like it wasn't, but then it was, because
Right.
there's certain frameworks that you need to operate within, and rules and guidelines and
Yeah.
regulations, and there's expectations, and then comes me with like, yeah, that rule sucks, and we should be doing this,
That
and
doesn't work.
that doesn't work, and why are we doing
Why
this?
are we
And,
doing this? Yesteryear policies, I like to call them. Like
right.
yesteryear, like 1902, this policy was invoked. And it's like, cows were
And it's
roaming the mountains
always
around
been
this.
that way.
Always been
It's
that way.
always been that
God,
way.
God
How
forbid
is
we
that the
change.
explanation to continue doing something just because it's always been
Oh
that
my
way?
goodness, don't you love that? And then they
Yes.
tell you that, and then they say, well, you know, please feel free to submit your recommendations for
And your suggestions.
evolutionary thought process and blah blah blah. And then as soon as
While
you
we
do,
continue to do the exact
you
same thing that we've been doing,
exactly.
status quo, right? And then
Status
also,
quo.
like, so that voice, and then recognizing that there's different people who I would feel more silenced than
Mm-hmm.
others, right?
Mm.
So then that's a different perspective as well. So your voice can be muted, or maybe you do that for yourself depending on your audience, and
Right.
whether is that you muting your voice, or
Oh,
is
that's a
it
good one.
them muting your voice, or is
That's
it
a
the
good one.
perception, you know?
That's a good one. Like the one where you step in a room and you feel your words aren't strong enough or powerful enough to be at that table. I would love to hear, how did you negate that? Like how did you find yourself pushing through that? Or did you just walk away from those tables and say, you know what, like, yeah, I don't even feel the need to have a conversation with these people? Like,
Ultimately, I walked away,
mhm.
but initially, I felt really supported in the teaching partners that I had and the team that I had, um,
Wonderful.
at the school I was before I walked away, and they would support my voice,
Love it.
and invite me to the table and make sure that I was heard, and if other players weren't as open, they would
Hmm.
they would they would they would take my voice to the table,
Yeah.
you
They
know,
will
on
advocate for
my
you.
behalf, advocate, yes.
Love it. Love
And
it.
usually I was advocating for others, so it was just making sure that my perspective, as a woman of color, as a child and youth counselor, as someone who engages with the young people on a regular basis, to make sure that 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 voice wasn't lost. So that's how it I was able to manage for the most part. But then ultimately I walked away because I realized I could do um,
She can do bad all by herself, honey. Yes. Slay all day. I feel you. I've been 30 years in my past employment, and I walked away after 30 years of helping communities and building and, being the voice at the table, advocating for others, and realizing that, as much as their intention is to hear everybody, it's hard when they're so set in a fixed mindset that, it's so. I definitely hear you, and you're doing it now, right? So with what you do, you're really translating that resource, which is you, right? And you're putting yourself out there and giving people access to that. Love that. So this brings us on to the version. So now we've spoken a little bit about your voice, who you are, what you do, how you're impacting others, how you're helping, especially, from young all the way up. Because as we know, those are transitional times in each period of their life, right? It's different when you're a child and when you go to be a youth, and then youth to an adult, and so forth. We also kind of, just to recap around the voice, that you found your voice, but you recognize that you didn't really want to put that voice at that table anymore. You found that you could do this another way, right? And so this goes to the version now. Now you spoke a little bit about the history of where you worked and how your voice was translated, but let's go to the version now that you're kind of taking control of your narrative. How does that make you feel?
What? Free up. Like when people ask me, that question, how are you doing? And I'm just like, I'm living life, and I'm living the dream. I had an idea of what it was going to be like, being an entrepreneur, totally being independent, financially independent. And it was not that it wasn't anything like it, but I couldn't have imagined how awesome it is and has been. Of course, it is work.
Yeah.
And it is challenging, and it has its ups and downs and all of that stuff. But I would rather deal with those challenges and ups and downs in the space that I'm in now than any other space that I have been in before. So it's just, and I think this will touch into the last V. It's just, it's part of it's victorious. It's like
the rise. It's the rise. You have arrived, honey.
And then you can, I'm just really tapping into, other visionary women, revolutionary women, and building community and recognizing what can be done when you bring like-minded people together. Amplifying my voice louder than I thought that it could be done, or that I didn't even envision that it could be done. And then something so seemingly simple, which is like coloring books. Like, who would have known? Who would have thought that so many things could be created from filling a void? And that's some of the stuff that I talk about when I sit and have conversations with young people and adults, is that creating can you never know where it's going to take you.
So I'm going to ask you this: the products that you use, because you allude to this, the coloring, how does that help others to write their narrative? How does that help others to control their narrative?
It's an opportunity to tap into your inner creativity. Some people understand that they're creative. Some people don't believe that they're creative. Right. And I truly believe, I'd even say it's factual, that everybody's creative. You have it within you.
There's a little bit of something in there.
A little bit of something. And then it's just finding an outlet, finding a way, and using the coloring books, because it's already, the illustration's already there. So it takes some of the creativity out of it. So then you can focus on bringing your thoughts. And then there's affirmations that go along with the images as well. So there's like an inspirational message that goes along with the imagery. So you have the analytical and the creative happening on one page. Then you can pick your colors and then bring that out of yourself, and then have conversations too. Whether if you're by yourself coloring, that's one thing. But if I'm doing this in a group environment, or you're sitting with your child as a parent or a guardian, the conversations that can happen, and it's intuitive, and it taps into, again, like I was saying, left brain, right brain, analytical and creative, and that opens the space, the space to have realizations, to solidify thoughts, to bring about new ones. So it's again, it just opens it up for a lot of possibilities.
I love that. And I think, what I'm hearing from it is that with that creative and analytical outlet, you can formulate what you want your story to be, right? Whether you express it through color, whether you express it through words, or, verbal, nonverbal, you definitely are giving that platform with your products. And
because we all have our story. We all have our story within. We all have our vision. We have it within us. But sometimes you just need a conduit. You need something to channel it.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's abstract, right? Because sometimes when you're coloring an image, it subconsciously triggers thoughts that you wouldn't necessarily think about if you were just given a pen and paper and say, write it. Like, I'm a big advocate for journaling, like, write it and then look back at it, and you can see what your patterns are, and you can see, really where you're hurting, right? Because sometimes when you write subjectively and you just kind of write what's in that moment, that's in that day. But then when you get a chance to look back at, 7 entries, you kind of see where you're at. Like, wow, I'm really hitting some depression right here. Like, every day I notice that I'm really sad, and that's how you can kind of get yourself to where you need to be. So rewriting the narrative, definitely, I agree with you. It's a different way. And I love it. I think everyone thinks it has to be journaling. It doesn't. I don't know how to draw to save my life, so I couldn't give out a coloring page. It would just stick, man. You would be done in about 5 seconds. Trace, color the face, right? But there's so many to your way. I love it because it speaks. It helps children to formulate their thoughts.
Yeah, there's so many. Right. It's a very unassuming art therapy. And then when you're paying attention to the imagery, now you're bringing in, representation and diversity. And when you're paying attention to the words, you're bringing in, like I said, cognitive, and then and creativity. And then the other thing is it's meditative too. Think about the sound of the pencil crayon on a piece of paper, and it brings in a deeper cognitive experience. So meditation as well, it's known for doing that as well. So when
I gotta get me a book. I'm just gonna be coloring every morning now. Like,
I know you never heard anybody talk about coloring. I'm so deep into
I'll be real. I remember the ones my kids brought home and told me the big story behind it. You know what I mean? And this, and then we would, and that is, and you're like, oh, that's nice, honey. Garbage. You get one picture on this fridge for the whole year, so choose your poison. You know what I mean? But you put it that way, that's. I mean, they used to give it to us at work. Like, when you used to go to those workshops, I don't know if they ever did it for you, but they put like coloring sheets and stuff, but it was more doodling. Like, it wasn't necessarily like so innovative as yours. It was more like, if you get tired listening to the speaker, color something, doodle something.
Or,
and some people
while you're listening to the speaker, sometimes some people need to be doing something in order to even focus.
Yes.
And so it's but again, just like you said, they give you pieces of paper. Oh, I'm going to do this while I'm ignoring whatever. But there's definitely solidifying like research and understanding psychology behind it. And coloring, I think, is a great start. It's a jump off. Maybe it's not the modality that you end up, doing. It could lead you to journaling. It could lead you to doodling, which is also a thing. It could lead you to other areas. But it's a great way to start. And the piece that you were talking about from a for young people, how it can trigger creativity, is the same reason why it's great for adults, because it takes you back to a simpler time. The majority of us colored when we were younger. So coloring as an adult is part of the reason why it's so calming and stress relief, anxiety relief is because it automatically transports you back to, oh yeah, I remember when I used to color when I was a little kid. And now you're not focusing on your day-to-day, on your problems and whatever.
100%.
So it's
In fact, the only thing you had to worry about was staying in the lines.
in the lines.
Right? Like,
And I'm a strong believer that you can even throw that away, especially now you're an adult. You could be like, yo, bun the lines.
what happened to page black?
and feel okay about it.
Well, no, you see, I get into it. I start shading and dusting and doing all the time. I'm not no artist by any stretch of the imagination. Performance arts, call me. But
oh yeah,
I love performance arts. That's is my art therapy. I love music, dancing. Like, I just love arts. It really helps.
And
I'm not that
improv
great
and acting. I dabble in that as well.
Yeah.
And so and those are so amazing for confidence building. And,
they are.
You know,
and stress relief. For me, it's all stress relief. Like you get into any kind of thing at work or whatever, home, relationships, you're just having a stressful day. Let me just throw on the song. I have a song for everything that just speaks to my soul. And I'm okay. Press play, 3.5 minutes. I'm good. You know, I'm back on it. But I'm going to add coloring to my thing. I really am. I'm going to become a professional colorer.
A professional colorer. You can. That's not even a joke. That's a
I'm going to say I quit to become a professional colorer. They'll be like, what? Yes. Don't worry about it.
And the last, the second coloring, because we have two coloring, but the second coloring book, I called it Soulful Color Mindset Money Matters. Ooh. And so I do want to take a couple of minutes to just really solidify the financial connection for coloring.
Isn't it just money is green?
Yeah, man.
Well, in our world, pink and yellow and purple and blue, but yes.
Money is like the product, right? Yeah. But it's your mindset.
That's it.
Is the thing that's the root cause. And if your mindset is all over the place, or it's not focused, or you have some triggers or trauma around finance and money specifically, from your childhood, from relationships, things like that, it can get in the way from you doing what you need to do to take that step to get life insurance. When there's a narrative as you're growing up that life insurance is a scam.
Oh, girl.
If you have that narrative, you have that mindset, then how are you going to be able to protect your family?
Let me tell you something.
Right?
Speak it now. Speak it. Instead, they're teaching GoFundMe instead.
No more.
It's better to beg than to protect yourself and your family.
Wow.
Right? I
like that.
I'm with you.
Somebody write that down.
No, seriously. I just recently joined the financial industry, and I totally 100% get it.
How did you do? What when you tell me about that?
Oh, girl, that's another day, another story. We're gonna link on that, honey. We gonna stay in the.
Because as soon as I hear the financial industry and people newly finding a new, seemingly finding a new path, it just bright up.
I've always dealt with money
more,
but I recognize that budgets and stuff are good to train and teach. Money mindset, train and teach, understanding credit, etc. But investment insurance is something, especially in our culture, we don't talk about or we don't approach because we're ignorant to what it is. And so I've done my share of insurance and investments. I've achieved what I've wanted through it. You know what I mean? And I know that if I pass, I can leave my estate, my cars and whatever, and even my debt is all taken care of. So I'm able to live free because I know if tomorrow is gone, well, there's something there to replace, me in terms of making sure that I'm not leaving that behind for my family. So definitely, girl, we got to talk. We got to do more in that. But
music to my ears.
Let's do it. So everything you've spoken about has been really about how people can get to their version of their own story, which I love. So tell me you spoke a little bit about victory. I'd love to hear you kind of put more imagery towards that and how that looks.
Victory is being able to live out loud, live the life that you think about, that you dream about, that I wish I could, or if this was different, I would. And not no regrets, leaving nothing on the table. You know, like you want to live out your life and be empty at the end. You don't want to take anything
I love it.
to the other side. I'm spent, and then that's victory. Um,
Mm.
that not that
You're not taking
you're
anything to the
moving,
grave. You're
not
not
taking
taking
anything
nothing to the
because at
grave.
the end of the day, we're to give our gifts, right? That's
Yes.
I'm sure the majority of people would believe that is the case, is that you're here for a purpose, and your purpose is being transferred through you, and so
Yes.
give your gifts. So if you're being stingy and you're being like, what's mine is mine, and then you're doing, not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing the world a disservice. The world needs you and your
The
creativity. I'm
world.
gonna be watching the camera. The world needs you and your
Get
creativity.
in it. Get in
Yes.
it.
And
If you
the
ain't hear
only
it, say it so
way
they
for
can hear
you
it in the
to get
back.
out of your way is to be in a place financially, because at the end of the day, we're on this rat race and we're being distracted by making sure that we're taking care of our basic needs. But once you're able to take care of your basic needs, you don't have to worry about it. Then you're open up and free up to really give your
Exactly.
gifts and give of
Exactly.
yourself. And at
And
the
when
end of
you
the
do
day,
that,
that's what's important.
yeah, and when you do that, it even from a financial perspective, right? Because people with business vision, it takes money,
Yeah,
and
everything.
a lot of people's vision is capped because they don't understand how to leverage, finance to work for them,
Yeah,
right?
you
I got a ton of credit cards.
can't even dare to dream bigger than
Yeah,
your bank account.
exactly, because
And
you're
that's
looking at the
so
one paycheck that you're getting, and you're saying,
right.
well, this is not going to cut it. But here's the reality:
It's
it's hard
limiting. It's
work,
very limiting.
right? It's hard work and energy that happens to that.
Thank you.
So
And that's victorious. Being limitless. Is that not victorious?
that's victorious. Sorry, I'm looking at a comment here. Just want to make sure that yeah. Okay. So you heard it here from Sophia Jackson. Okay. She's jack of all trades and she's mastering many. I love it. Um, you've heard her speak about who she is and what her focus is. You've heard her voice. You've heard her version.
I'm
You've heard
also
her
a
vision.
connector. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no worries. Let's
Just
add that.
because when we're talking about, what people have heard here today, not only like I do a lot of things, but I also connect people to individuals, because you can't do it all. So
Referral and mention. Yeah,
I have
referral.
community,
That
I have
you have
resources, I have all of that stuff.
networking.
So I
Hmm.
can, if you don't know and you need to find out, like, I'm a great resource, and then I can find the people, find the place, and make recommendations, and so on and so forth.
100%.
So definitely
Yeah.
want to be a connector.
No, definitely. And I agree. I think a lot of us are doing better with that now. We're using our networks to be a little bit more, advocating for people, right? Like I say, the society is not just me. I'm part of a society. I'm part of a bigger picture where,
Mhm.
I work with other coaches and other, great women who I can say, hey, that's not my wheelhouse, but I definitely can connect you with somebody who's in their wheelhouse, right? Because
Mhm.
we tend to think, especially from a business perspective, and if you're just running your own business, first thing you want to do is forward up every sale, possible prospective sale that might come your way, because you're worried about, the food and the rent and whatever. But when you learn how to, uh, put the person first, put that client first, and really help them, you would be surprised what comes back, right? Because somebody's on the other end talking to you, and you're saying, well, you know what? Talk to Miss J. She can get you on that,
Yeah.
right? While they're talking to me, and I'm saying, catch SoJay, you can get you on that. Miss J, SoJay, yes, honey.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, honey.
Yes.
Right. So I definitely love where you're going with it. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to do something with you or be part of your platform on some level, because at the end of the day, I love learning, and I love learning about this. Today was very interesting for me. I'm looking at coloring from a whole different lens. So I appreciate you empowering me to do so. And, I'm going to get on my color game real strong.
Mhm.
After this. Okay, so we're wrapping it up. Is there anything that you want to leave the ladies with? The gems?
Mhm.
Any gems you want to leave? And then we will wrap up.
When you're coloring, of course, you want to be coloring in a soulful coloring book.
Yeah, that's it.
Shameless plug there. And
It's
then,
not shameless, honey. It's business. Business, honey.
yes.
Yes.
And then also, just to kind of jump off of to reiterate what you just shared, is that there's room for everyone, that
Yes.
we need to utilize our community, utilize our resources, utilize our experience and what exists, but then also to build and network and make new connections too, and
100%.
recognize you can make references and referrals, and that just when somebody comes to you and asks you for something, that means that they think highly of you. They think that you can actually help
That's a good
them
point. Yeah.
solve their situation or their problem. So recognize that, and that there's room at the table, and to whatever it is that you've been wanting to do, just do it. I mean, I heard that with other women that have been on the 30 Days of HERstory. I've been on this platform. I've heard that being said, but we need to say it over and over and over again, because we there's no better feeling than to be able to say, you know what, there was no what ifs. I
Mhm.
didn't leave anything on the table.
That's it.
All the things I wanted to do, I did them. Like how awesome and amazing would that be to be able to say
100%.
that to yourself
100%.
and for your family and for the next generations.
Yep. Well, you say the word intention is just a word without implementation. And this day and age, with the amount of resources that you've even heard just here in the last 30 days or 29 days, there's no excuse. I think there's been interviews with every facet of our lives under the sun done on this show.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if you look at all the shows together, you can see everyone who came on served a niche market, served a demographic, and served, a specific person. And so, I really hope people are taking the time to listen to these interviews and really get
Yes.
to know, what's going on. I'm excited to be reposting the link, to all of the different videos on my page and on my stories, and just knowing that we have that power. If everyone has 100 followers and there's 500 of us, that's 5,000 people we're impacting, right?
Yes.
Everyone has to advocate for everyone else. It's the only way it's going to happen, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, my network doesn't know your network. But if I say Sophia Jackson is one of a kind, and you definitely need to be on her and in her world, they're going to at least give you a shot to tell your story and to share your voice. So
Forget about Netflix.
exactly, color and chill.
Come to color. Well, yes, color and chill while you're watching
That's
all
it.
of the I can say I'm 29. There's 2 more to go, or 1 more.
Yes,
So 30 or 31.
100%, 100%.
This is where
Check
you
out
can spend your
Hey
time.
Sister Hey Story, because
Yes.
this is where you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much, Sophia. It's been a blast being able to converse with you today. I think you're a bit frozen, so I'll just kind of wait to see where you're at.
Thank you.
Or maybe I'm frozen. Okay, I hear you now. Again, I want you all to visit www.heysisterherstory.ca to purchase any of the co-branded items that you see, because HERstory is giving extra from those products to the Olive Branch of Hope. Feel free to donate instead. If you don't, make sure you jump on. Before we go, I'll make sure that you're letting people know where you can get those coloring books. All the funds raised will be dedicated to purchasing specialized medical devices for Black women living with lymphedema after breast cancer treatment. So what we heard today was not only, if you're going through that, reach out to the Olive Branch of Hope. They are developing such a strong support system for you to help you to live your day-to-day life with quality and and in a safe space, where you get a chance to understand how the struggle doesn't have to be real. All right. So Miss SoJay, let them know where the people can find you.
soulfulcolor.com, on Instagram at soulfulcolor, Facebook Soulful Color. And then and then also my name too, Sophia Jackson SoJay. If you Google any of those words in combination, something will pop up. And then also reaching out through her story, and you will find me. I am everywhere.
She's everywhere. So get your phones out and get on that IG. I'm gonna do mine right now because I know me. I'm a person that walks away.
Do what Miss J's doing. Get your phone out.
Get your phone out right now and find. Here she is, SoJay Soul, right here.
Yes.
And she is looking fabulous. Lovely.
That's true, right? That's my personal page is SoJay Soul.
Okay, well, I'm following that, and then I'm following.
I will. And it was a pleasure.
Yes, I'm following you. But then it's Soulful Color, right?
Yeah, Soulful Color for the coloring books is Soulful Color, and then SoJay Soul.
People, sometimes it just takes one click to be connected into a new world. So I'm now
a whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes. Yes, catch us next week on our tour of Soulful Songs.
Yes, we're taking it back.
We're taking it on the road.
The performance arts, right?
That's it. Let's get into it, honey.
So we got to follow up. There's your performance art background because there's some synergy there, as well as the financial journey. So
after this, let's take a quick few minutes to connect and talk a little more. As we let the people go and get what they need to do on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Check out the website. It's scrolling below. 30 Days of Her Story. If you've missed all the episodes, go on to the site. They are all there. Thanking again Nadia Headley for bringing us together on this platform and taking on a huge initiative of making sure at 7:00 every day you have a reason to be online, a reason to be inspirational, and a reason to learn. As I always say, level up your drip. Your drive, resiliency, innovation, and progression is the only way you spread your wings and fly. All right. So on that note, we will talk to you later. And SoJay, have a wonderful evening. Continue inspiring. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
First of all, I always thought that breast cancer was a white woman's disease. I didn't know that Black women got breast cancer, and that was mainly because all the promotions featured white women. So I just thought, Black women don't get this. And then lo and behold, I was diagnosed with stage 3 advanced breast cancer. I thought after that I finished with the IV and the chemo that I was going to go home. I didn't know I had to take additional prescription drugs. And I went, and it was quite expensive. And I thought to myself, okay, what do poor people do? How do women that look like me, that is less fortunate than I am, how do they make it? How do they find the money to pay for this prescription, take care of their families, cover all their finances? That must be so difficult for them. And then I was at home one morning feeling, terrible after chemotherapy treatment. Couldn't get off the bed. It was terrible. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't want any other woman that looks like me to have to go through this alone. So when I get better, I'm going to do something about this. That started the journey of me and the Olive Branch of Hope.